Soon may the weathermen come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tugging is done, we'll take our leave and go. Ha!
What's up, guys? Here we are, back in the world of Vanadil with Beardtastic. We're ready for another beardy boy adventure, and I'm so excited. It's been a little while. I am, of course, your host, Basic Guardian, but I gotta say, I'm a total shill. I can't go on like this. When I was adjusting my microphone, I may have accidentally muted it. So when I originally recorded this episode, there was no audio because the whole time I wasn't recording, and I didn't know until I had already recorded for like 3 hours. So here we are, another week in, and you're still not going to get a normal, true to form New Game Plus episode. And I'm sorry. It pains me. Because I know this is a lot of your guys' favorite segment, me just playing along, and you guys get to enjoy what the game is like at a pace that is, to be honest, not even at all normal. If you played this game for realsies, you could have made all of the progress I made so far in these, 10 episodes in a few hours. And I'm assuming that's exactly why nobody showed up to my Valkurm Dunes party invite. Forever alone. Really, though, I understand. Anybody who's played retail, Final Fantasy XI, if you're using XP rings and you've gone through Rhapsodies of Vanadil and you have the XP boosts from there, and you've got the good trusts and so on and so forth, Valkurm Dunes, that whole era of leveling from 10 to 20, takes maybe 20 minutes. Maybe. But let's just assume you're being slow. It takes an hour, okay? So I understand that most people didn't want to go out of their way to come join me in Valkurm Dunes for maybe half an hour. But you know what? It would have been fun, and I am a little sad that nobody showed up. But I don't hold it against anybody. I got visions in my head of something one of my viewers recommended, that we just make a big alliance and just go through the zone like it's one of those old Abyssia parties, which on the one hand, Abyssia parties were my least favorite part of the entire game, but the idea of having an 18-person alliance in Valkurm Dunes and just cutting through it like a plague of locusts sounded hilarious. But maybe one day I'll get to do that. But this was not the time. So, here you see in the background gameplay that I am in the Valkurm Dunes and I am just leveling up. Not much to report on. I don't know what I would have really talked about because you've already seen me talk while I was leveling up. I could have talked more about weird-ass Valkurm Dunes parties I've had, but to be honest, there's so many good ones, right? There's so many good parties that I had and so many crap parties that I've had. And they're just kind of a melange of goofy stuff that's happened out in the dunes. My favorite thing was always pulling. I actually enjoyed pulling, but on the same note, it was way easier to be the healer or be the tank or something, because then you only have that one responsibility and you don't have to use your brain at all, and you don't have to figure out timing and stuff. But that's why I did like pulling, is because you have to be in charge of the flow of combat, you know what I mean? So that was one of my favorite things to do, just from a engagement sense. You couldn't just fall asleep while you're playing because you're always on the clock and have to make decisions. I'm curious what your favorite job to play in a party was back in the old days, and if that's changed now, because with the speed of combat now, yes, you can set up multi-step skill chains and do all that stuff with everybody. You can play very tactfully. You can play with a lot of tactics right now, but it's definitely way more common to just see a bunch of people piled up, weapon skilling after weapon skilling and not really doing any type of focus on actually creating a skill chain. I mean, for certain things, yes, there is that, but a lot of the ways you see ambuscades get burned down, if you watch any of the high-end ambuscade videos here on YouTube, it's mostly just a pile of people, hitting things as hard as they can while a rune fencer holds all the hate. That's why I personally find all of that content very boring, because it's always the same thing. It's wow, a bunch of really well-kitted players just hitting super hard weapon skills. for 5 minutes. Super entertaining, guys. And that's really because this game has mechanics, but it doesn't have any way to telegraph them like other modern MMOs do, like Final Fantasy XIV, which is way too busy for me to look at and figure out what's going on, except for like the area of effect moves where it's like, oh, okay, get inside the donut or get outside of the circle, or look out for the lines on the ground. Like, all that stuff's really cool as far as like mechanically driven stuff, but the most you ever get from that in Final Fantasy XI is certain enemies will like, oh, this one's got a glowing red eye that when the eye's glowing, don't hit it, otherwise it absorbs your damage. Or certain enemies will be like, oh, this one goes through different invincibility phases, now he's weak to magic, oh no, he's weak to melee DPS. There are mechanics, but they're not telegraphed very well in Final Fantasy XI. And a lot of times you just have to know what they are and have Wikipedia up and looking at it. And that's the one thing I've always disliked about this game, is that there's always someone who figures it out right away and then, writes a small guide about it, which is great. But the downside is they always make it seem like it's this task that can only be accomplished one certain way, when there's usually several ways that things can get done. And they'll give you the recommendations, but I don't know if it's like the internal need to flex gear or jobs or what the deal is, but almost always they're like, must have a Geomancer with Idris. It's like, all right, Chief, you probably don't need a Geomancer with Idris. But yes, a Geomancer with Idris will make it a little smoother and a little quicker. But that's just the nature of this min-maxing, nature of the game that we're in now. If you want to be part of the end game, yeah, you're going to be min-maxing all day, every day. And if you don't want to be part of the end game, like myself, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And I've completed so many end game things. I talk about end game a fair amount, and it's because I'm jaded from the 75 era of end game. I was killing these boys when y'all weren't even playing the game yet, all right? That's probably not true. I had plenty of people who were, playing the game back then, but I really was in an H&M shell for so long and was a part of those groups that were discovering, ways to take down bosses quicker, or, remembering to turn off the, what is it called? Where you I think it's called blockade. Yeah, so you wouldn't, no one outside of your alliance could heal you and make you spike flail your teammates by curing you when you're doing Nidhogg or something. Like, I was a part of that community for so many years, and the part of the, the Dynamis community and the Limbus community, and I had a really geared character back in the day. I was best in slot back in the day before 2010. And then I fell off in Abyssia because I was one of those people who was super jaded when they bumped the level cap up to 80, because I really felt like, oh, okay, so I went through all this trouble to get a Koenig body and an E-body and all of these things. I went through all the trouble to get all this amazing gear, and now literally the Pearl Hauberk is better for DPS than any other gear that I had available. Are you kidding me? So that's when I fell off, because I was like, well, I don't want to participate in this new grind. And that's when they started to recognize that, oh, you know what? We should just make people have to, like, instead of getting one big drop, like one big abjuration you can turn into a new piece of gear. How about instead of that, we make them grind out 50 plates, and then they can make the small piece into a slightly better piece, and then they grind out 75 more things, and they can turn this one piece into a slightly even better piece. It's like, it was great for grinders and people who really wanted to commit that much time, but I recognized it for what it was. It's not like skill-based or anything. It's not some sort of like, wow, you're an amazing player. It's like, no. It's you just got to sit there and invest the time, and I didn't want to. I had plenty of other things to do with my life, so that's why I took a big step away. But I would come back from time to time and just see what's going on, checking out the landscape, and then I would take a break again. I never stuck around for more than 2 weeks between 2010 and 2019, and then in 2019 I've been pretty consistent. I've kept my sub up the whole time, and in 2019 and into 2020 I've played a fair amount. Like, I've played quite a bit of Final Fantasy, and got all of my gear up and got so many things done. You know, I was able to just grind Dynamis nonstop. That's when I learned what, you know, using Fell Cleave would do on a warrior. So my strat was I would be a warrior / thief, and I would just run around in Dynamis, gathering up a whole bunch of enemies and spin in a big circle and kill them. Get all that currency. I would try to proc NMs to get 100 pieces, and I would usually leave every Dynamis run with 300, 500, sometimes more currency. And that's why I've got so many relic weapons, because when I got back, I literally had no competition and nothing better to do. So I would watch movies or put on podcasts or watch YouTube, whatever, while I was sitting there running around in circles, whacking things with my axe. It was boring, but I was having a good time. And I could have been doing the same thing in Abyssia, you know, going for, you know, I suddenly forgot the name, an Empyrean weapon. I could have been doing that too. There was a bunch of different options, but as a, you know, paladin main back in the day, my first priority was to finish the Aegis that I had started, because I had never gotten past phase 2, you know. So it was one of those things where I wanted to get that done, and I got that done. That was my first priority, and I was super excited about it. And it was just such a different time when I first came back, because for all intents and purposes, the game was mostly dead. Like, there was not a whole lot of people playing, and that's still the case to this day, but it's been seeing a little bit of resurgence in 2020, which is awesome. And I'm excited to see, you know, so many new people saying they want to try out the game or check out the game, and that's super exciting. For me personally, I love this game. It's my favorite gaming universe. I talk about that all the time, and I'm super excited to be back. Unfortunately, life has been very busy. Y'all don't know this about me, but I do. I have a degree, and I work in a very busy field, okay? And my girlfriend is in the same field as me, and summertime is usually our busiest season. So I'm exceptionally busy with that, but also we were just locked down for a whole year, right? And I'm a very big outdoors guy. I like to go camping and hiking and, you know, kayaking and all of this stuff. I love all of that. And since I live in the Chicagoland area, we only have 2 seasons, really. We've got winter and road construction. All of my Midwest boys can relate to this. But yes, in our brief 3-month window where the weather is actually good enough to go out and do stuff, I want to go out and do stuff. And I think you guys should all be doing the same. As much as I appreciate all the support I get here and all the people saying that, you know, they're wanting to try the game out again and that they're super excited about these episodes, that means a lot. I'm really excited. You like listening to this, you know, dumb guy talk about Final Fantasy XI. But at the end of the day, right now, for summertime, I think y'all should be getting out and enjoying it as much as you can. I mean, if you're from a place that experiences a winter, obviously this doesn't mean anything to Florida or California people or whatever, but to us people where there's snow and the weather is crap, now is the time. Go out there, live your life, have a good time, experience this period of no lockdowns, no Ronas. Just go have a good time, have a barbecue with your friends, you know. Just live it up, because that's what I'm doing. I have been trying to make some videos, but obviously you guys have seen the last 2 I released were one talking about why I think grenade launchers are amazing, and you should check out that video even if you don't like Destiny at all. If you like my personality and listening to me do stupid voices, I do a ton of Destiny character voices in that video. And it's my favorite video that I've made just because I enjoyed doing all of those character voices. I had a lot of fun with that. So even if you're not into Destiny, you should check out that video just because I really enjoyed working on that one. And that's kind of been a tough thing. I'm really bad at sportscasting. Like, I'm really bad at doing the Vanadil Football League. It was a fun idea, but I'm really terrible at actually doing the voiceover for that. And as a result, I've re-recorded the voiceover for the part 2 of that Vanadil Football League like 3 times now, because I can't come to a satisfied feeling of it, because I'm trying to just present it like it's, you know, something that would really happen in Vanadil, even though it's a absolutely ridiculous premise. And I know you guys probably don't even care about that video. You just want to hear about real Final Fantasy, not this stupid football world I've invented. But I want to show you guys the results of the recording. And I've already invested something like 15 hours into making that stupid video. So I want to finish that one. And it's almost done. I've been re-recording it, and I've decided this time, as I'm re-recording the voiceover for it, that I'm just going to be satisfied with whatever I get. If it's great, it's great. If it's not, whatever. Because I know you guys don't even care anyways. So, but yes, I've been working on that. But that one I did about 11 things every guardian should know, I literally got that idea and was able to crank out that video in about 6 hours from start to finish. And it let me listen to a lot of awesome synthwave and EDM music, which is my favorite type of music because, as you might know, I actually like making music. I just don't share it very often because I'm not trying to be a DJ or something. But again, that song I whooped up in Fruity Loop Studio in about, I don't know, 2 hours, maybe. And projects like that, where I'm really passionate about it and I just want to get it out there, are quick and they're easy. And that song I made sucks, but I thought, hey, I enjoy listening to this music. I enjoy playing around in Fruity Loop Studio. Why not do a little Final Fantasy track? So a little bit of behind the scenes stuff here. If I'm really passionate about something, I can get it out pretty quickly. And obviously, like I said, that song I made was a quick 2 hour project, which if you know anything about music production, it shouldn't be made in 2 hours. So it's not perfect, but just showing you that if you know what you're doing, you can kind of make things happen pretty quickly. Better people can make things that are way better in the same amount of time. But as an amateur dude, I was happy with it for the most part, I suppose. I don't know. And I figured I'd share it with you guys because I was having fun whooping it together. So if you've been watching the background gameplay footage, you've seen that I've been just leveling up in the dunes. Not too much to report there. I did get the Valkurm Emperor, but unfortunately he did not drop the hairpin, but that's okay. I didn't expect him to. Plus, that one to me is not as big of an accomplishment as getting the leaping boots, because that was the first NM that I was able to, really latch onto, was Leaping Lizzie, since from back in the day I was in Bestock and I knew this super awesome NM was in my backyard, and so he has a little bit more notoriety to me, whereas the Emperor hairpin was kind of like, well, it's a really good piece and it's really awesome and I get why it's valuable, that 10 evasion and everything, but I don't have quite the emotional connection to Valkurm Emperor as I do good old Lizzie, and I already got her boots, so I'm already set. I'm good to go. But other notable things, I did get to level 20 something while I was out there. I don't know. I quit. That was a few weeks ago when I recorded that. So unfortunately, I don't remember exactly what level I got to. I'm 20 something though. I think I'm like 23. So I'm ready to go to Quiffum, and that's what I'll be doing next week. If you don't know, I play on Asura, and I'm on that linkshell that I created, New Game Plus, every Wednesday from about 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time till around midnight, or sometimes a little later Eastern Standard Time. I always have to think to convert for Eastern Standard Time because I'm Central Time, but I present it as Eastern because I think that's like the most common way that it's presented in the U.S. because it's one of the highest populations in the U.S. So at least for us Midwesterners, we always see everything presented as like 9 p.m. Eastern, and we have to adjust in our own mind like, oh, okay, so it'll be 8 p.m. here. But yes, in my time, I'm on from about 7 p.m. till 11 or midnight. This last Wednesday, I was actually on till like 2 in the morning. But that was because I was helping out these awesome dudes in my link shell. This guy named Magic Shroom. He wanted to get access to Dynamis Divergence and had just gotten started with that process because he wants to get some best in slot gear, which is cool. I support people who want to go for best in slot gear. It's just not important to me because I know that the end game is a lie. If you have gear that's capable enough to compete in the end game, all you're doing is working on optimization. There's no real progression happening. You're just like, oh, we went from being able to kill this event in 10 minutes to 9 minutes 30 to 9 minutes to 8 minutes 30. We saved a whole minute and a half of our lives, which is cool, but if you can already complete the event, who cares? It should be about like the experience of doing it, not the experience of doing it for the 80th time, in my opinion, which is why I don't go for R15 or thinking I need to have, a mythic to make my summoner or paladin or whatever viable. It's like, well, I don't want to do that event 90 times anyways, so it's just not my thing anymore, I've already hunted down Nidhogg back in the day 90 times and invested way too much of my life waiting to get a, time of death timer or something. It's so stupid. I've invested thousands and thousands of hours into this game already doing stuff that didn't equate into anything anyways. And I don't know what the future of Final Fantasy XI is, so it doesn't matter. I don't need best in slot because all of the stuff that is available currently, even without best in slot gear, I know I can go do it because I've gotten invites to go do it already. And I've done a lot of it. I've already done, clearing the helms and all this other crap that's really hard to do. I've done a lot of that stuff without having best in slot gear or, optimal job choice. I only have Paladin, Warrior, and Dragoon at Master rank, and I only have one Aeonic weapon for my Dragoon. So I'm not the optimal choice. I don't have, an amazing rune fencer or whatever. But I've been able to go complete tons of this super high end game stuff anyways, and it didn't change radically my perception of the game or whatever anyways. I didn't actually even enjoy my time doing that stuff. It was like, yeah, this is cool, but it definitely doesn't feel like it used to. So yeah, here we are talking about endgame again. Anyway, if Magic Shroom wants to go get access to Dynamis Divergence to get his +2 gloves or whatever, that's great, fine, whatever, I will help out. But what I was more excited about doing was the fact that he needed to have the old Dynamises unlocked. And I just like going in there and doing that stuff and hunting down the NMs. And like I said, it's what I did for a really long time, was just NM hunting and earning 100 pieces. So I'm pretty proficient at that. So I was excited to help someone out with Dynamis because they hadn't done it. They didn't know how to do Dynamis. And I was excited. Well, they knew how to do Dynamis, but they didn't know the Outlands ones. They had never done that. So that was fun for me, and they got their access to that. And then I just mentioned in the link shell that, hey, I'm going to go do some ambuscade if anyone wants to join me. And I had some lovely people come out and help out. Magic Shroom joined us for a little bit here. And then I had this guy, Sojiro, who had never done ambuscade before, ever. And that is always so exciting for me. Because ambuscade, when you don't know what it is, or you don't know how to do it, or you haven't done it yet, you don't realize how simple it is to get involved with it. But you also probably don't realize how good that gear is compared to anything else if you're a fresh 99. And how literally in a couple hours you can go from, either the eminent gear or the stuff you pick up for Bailed in Adullin, which is, it's great gear, and it's the first set I recommend getting when you first get to 99. Quick tip, if you are doing this month's Primer Volume 2, I recommend going to Kuftal Tunnel, because those crabs will still give XP even to a level 99 with 119 gear on. So you can get your next primer in just a minute, and then you go right back to Mahara and can keep doing ambuscade. And this month's ambuscade is dumb easy. You literally, I don't know if there's a deeper mechanic to it that I'm missing, but it seems like it's just one of these shell guys that has their annoying, shell effects. Uragonites, I think they're called. And he's got incredibly high amounts of physical damage resistance. And then when he goes inside his shell, he's got complete physical immunity, basically. You'll still hit for numbers, but it's going to be like 2 damage or 3 damage, And we found a Black Mage was essential. Shantoto 2 was the best trust ever here, because not only could she create more skill chains with us, but she would also burst for high amounts of damage. But we took Sojiro through and got him his first several completions of this and got him into a full set of Flama gear that was super exciting. Did he acquire the goods? Yes! Flama body! There we go. There it is. Let's clap for this man. I had such a great time showing someone else the amazing powers of the Dynamis. It's literally my favorite activity because it's scalable and you can make it as hard as you want it to be. If you've got a full group, you can go do Primer 1. Usually those are harder because they've got a bunch of beastmen in them and stuff. And I realize now that we've transitioned off of the Beardy Boy, but this is really all I've been doing the last couple weeks is I did my leveling out in Quiffum with Beardtastic, and now this last week I spent literally the entire time doing Dynamis and Ambuscade. But it's been great. It's been a lot of fun. And I'm happy to announce that linkshell I put out there, I've had to replenish over 40 pearls. And I don't know how many of these people are mules. I don't know how many people are just people who picked up a random shell and had no interest in the video or anything. I don't know how many people are actually playing, but the highest I've ever seen in there was 15 people on at one time. And that's awesome. And as much as I love playing on Beardtastic, if somebody needs help with something that I can help them with, I want to do that too. Obviously, I can't do that all the time, but it's been a really great experience. I really enjoyed that. So congratulations to Sojiro on getting his first set of Flamma gear. And for anybody else who wants to go do Ambuscade, I mean, just ask the linkshell if they want to help you out with it. Or on Wednesdays when I'm there, by all means, if you guys want to go do some of that stuff, let's go knock it out, man. That'd be fun. I enjoy that. It usually takes me about an hour to 2 hours to record with Beardtastic because I have to trim it down to about half an hour of talking. But if you guys want to join me on those adventures too, this next time I'm going to be doing Quiffum Island and then figuring out where to go from there, because there's a bunch of options to level up in your 30s. You can go to Kazam, or you could go to the Crawler's Nest, or I believe you could even go to Garledge Citadel in your 30s. You might have to be a little bit higher and fight like borer beetles, maybe like 35 or something. It gets a little hazy for me between 35 and 50, but from 50 onwards, I have a pretty good roadmap of where you need to go. But I want to hit all the classic leveling zones. I'm actually in the process of making a leveling guide, and I don't want to include any Esha zones or any of that stuff because, yes, Esha has amazing benefits and amazing XP and all this other stuff, but it just feels too similar to Abyssia for me, where it's not the real game in my headcanon. I don't want to be in there in the 50s. I want to be in Kuftal Tunnel fighting crabs, you know? So that's my logic behind it, even though I know fighting worms and Esha is quicker and easier. So I just want to make an alternative to the guide of fantastic XPs and where to find them. It's an amazing guide, but it relies on some weird zones like, what's that called? The dungeon. Bostano Wobblet. It wants you to go down there in your 60s. And, you know, that means you have to be at least rank 3, which isn't a big ask. Getting rank 3 isn't hard. We've done it here on the channel. But I want to make a guide where you could literally be rank 1 and just travel around in all of the base game zones and get from level 1 to 99. And I know a pretty good way to do that. So I've been gathering footage for that and working on that, but that's going to be a little bit further off. That probably won't even come out till late summer because I want it to be a good guide. I want to actually invest some good time into that. So that's on the horizon, but that's a ways out yet. All I've been doing right now is gathering footage. But I'll definitely take recommendations from you guys on where you think you should level. And don't include Esha, and don't include any weird locations that normal people just can't get to. I don't want it to have mission requirements, just base game zones. If you guys remember good leveling spots, I would definitely take all of your recommendations on where you think I should say people should go. An alternative to the Fantastic XPs guide, because I think that's more fun for me anyways, is playing in the zones I'm familiar with. You know, it's not about getting the XP, it's also enjoying my time in this universe, hearing the classic battle zone music instead of the droning nonsense of Esha, you know. Anyway, that was a side tangent, but that's been what's going on, you know. Sorry you don't get real game audio, but I figure some of you guys just like to put on my droning monotonous voice while you're working on your computer or something anyways. So yeah, sorry for releasing a Destiny video that I highly recommend you check out if you like my goofy voices, and an EDM music video, because y'all probably just want to hear me blather out about Final Fantasy XI. And that's why I'm recording this in this weird ass goofy way. Me just talking. I'm just looking at a blank computer screen right now, y'all. I'm just literally sitting here for 34 minutes so far, which I'm going to edit down a little bit, I'm sure, but I'm just sitting here staring at a blank screen. But yeah, that's going to be it for me. Thank you very much, everyone who's joined my link shell. There's well over 40 of you, because I've had to put 40 pearls back onto the link shell concierge. So that's exciting. It's exciting to start building a community over there. I don't know how big it's going to get. I don't know how I'm going to manage it, because I'm not going to set up a website or anything, or a Discord or whatever. But if there's someone out there who wants to be the pioneer of uniting the community, by all means, just let me know. Leave it in the comments if you want to step up as a volunteer to be a link shell leader here. By all means, I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Let you make up a Discord or something. I have no idea. I don't do that stuff, guys. I'm sure I could figure it out, but I just don't want to be in charge of trying to set all of that up. So if you guys have any recommendations or you want to take charge, let me know. I would appreciate any of the help I can get in that regard, because that's just not my forte. But yeah, that's going to be it. I really hope that you guys are having a great summer. Remember, get out there and enjoy some summer sun. Go enjoy these months before the inevitable crushing curse of winter befalls us all again. And until next time, I'm Basic Guardian. I'll catch you all on the next one. Toodaloo! Llama, 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 body, get out of the screen, you weird hume.